Well, this is an exciting match. I mean, if you're an Ohio native, this is exciting because you see a guy out of Wadsworth, Ohio, a guy out of Perry. I mean, these are two programs that are, separated by not that much geographical distance, and guys that have, been in each other's way along their high school careers, and now it's happening in St. John Arena wearing an Edinboro or a Buckeye uniform.
I'll tell you what, that's Billy Miller is an interesting heavyweight, very athletic for a heavyweight. He's not afraid to shoot, not afraid to take those shot attempts and get underneath a bigger guy. Very aggressive, and Tavanello kind of the opposite, likes to slow things down, really fight the hand position, heavy on the head, and really try to wear a guy down.
Nick Tavanello, three-time state champ for Coach John Cremuglia and the Wadsworth Grizzlies. He's one of their pride of that great program. And a guy that really, in a way gets overshadowed by the fact that you have this phenom and Kyle Snyder that comes into the lineup. So, if you're Tavanello, it's kind of unfortunate that you have the youngest world champ in history in your weight class. And he did great things for the Buckeyes last year. He scored a lot of points at the NCAA tournament, so he's contributed to this team. And now this is an opportunity for him to get a win in front of the home crowd.
Absolutely. Nick Tavanello was a big part of that national championship last year, securing some very valuable points for the Ohio State Buckeyes. But as you mentioned, Kyle Snyder, who was a runner-up in the NCAAs last year as a true freshman at 197 pounds, took some time in the summer to compete in the World Championships and ended up winning it. Youngest ever American to win the World Championships, and thought that he was going to take an Olympic redshirt year this year. But in the quest for that second national title, Coach Tom Ryan, they talk about it, and talking to Coach Ryan, this really is Kyle Snyder's more natural weight. I think that this is what you're going to see him at the remainder of his college career. That 97 kilos is, about 212, 213 pounds. And so I think that this is probably more the natural progression for Kyle Snyder. But as we watch these two guys go at it here, about a minute left in the first period, and kind of a half shot attempt there by Tavanello. We did see some earlier action there by Billy Miller.
Yeah, I mean, no one really truly committing to the risk of taking a full shot attempt to the point where they could also be taken down. So these guys, really, I guess, playing it safe at this point, fighting position, as you see heavyweights do a lot of times. But in contrast to what you saw Kyle Snyder do, the last broadcast against Wisconsin, you saw, 15 shot attempts, and 10 takedowns. And here, we're at a 0-0 first period, which is a little bit more traditional out of that heavyweight class.
When you talk about Nick Tavanello, two-time NCAA qualifier, was just one match short in the blood round, as they call it there, his freshman year, of earning a placement spot in All-American honors. At-large big last year. A lot of injuries last year for Nick. It was 13-13 on the season. But again, 2-2 in the NCAA tournament and able to score some valuable points for the Buckeyes.
I mean, and Nick's a guy who I think gets overshadowed because there's so many stars here at Ohio State that it's easy to look past the fact that he won 2 matches in the NCAA tournament, which is something to be said. I mean, if you look at on the contrast of Edinboro's lineup, they don't have that kind of I guess depth where they have NCAA qualifiers, typically not in their lineup.
A lot of power there as you see Billy Miller pick up. A great job by Tavanello, hitting the mat and reacting very, very well, getting right back up and earning that escape. 1-0 now, Nick Tavanello in the second.
And this is a spot that Tavanello is very comfortable in. I mean, he wrestles a lot of. You've seen a lot of one-point matches out of him, and the posture is a little bit passive at this point. You don't see a lot of attempts for attack out of either guy. So the 1 point is a huge difference, in a match like this.
About a minute 20 left here in the second. You see again that kind of shot attempt. Billy Miller looking for that headlock, but Nick Tavanello, very good hips, very good upper body strength, and doesn't get in bad positions very much.
No, I mean, and these guys are very similar. You look at their stature. I mean, we're talking about guys that are not, your 6 foot, 5 foot heavyweights. These are two guys that are a little bit shorter for the weight class. Very compact, very stout. And there's another attempt by Miller, but again, very quick in and out. Not another attempt to reshoot and expose your opponent. Playing it safe. Both guys don't want to give up that takedown because that takedown could really mean the match.
Well, when you talk about takedowns at this weight class, they are really a hot commodity. I mean, that one takedown is normally the difference in a match like this, as opposed to some of those smaller weights where it's going to be 5, 6, 7 takedowns.
Yeah, I mean, And that's what you try to want. I think you look at the job Ohio State's done with their upper weights, and you see a great tradition of guys that were able to score points. Nice counterattack by Tavanello. He's in a head outside position, looking to dump, goes down the mat. And this is why it's dangerous to be an upper weight and go underneath, because there's some weight on you. So although Tavanello was in a great spot to score, he has some weight on him. And Miller trying to elevate that leg. Here they're scrambling, and Miller comes on top.
Miller out on top of that one with a 2-point takedown there right at the end of the second period, bringing new life to that Edinboro Fighting Scot. 2-1 now the advantage, and he's going to go down.
And you see this replay here, and Miller scoring on a go-behind, basic, baseline defense, just didn't stop wrestling, nothing special, but just didn't stop wrestling and used his weight to his advantage.
2-1 now Tavanello. Riding time not a factor here. Gives up the escape there, and it's going to be 3-1. Nick Tavanello going to need a takedown to try to tie this up here in the third.
Frustrating if you're Tavanello. You basically showed maybe your best attack in the book. You were in deep, and then you get scored on. So now down 3-1, you have to do it again. You have to believe and have that confidence that you can score.
Yeah, you have to be able to try to go back to the well that was dry a little bit ago and see if there's some water down there now.
And that's hard. You have to have a short memory, as an athlete. And in a wrestling match, it's a short match. So it's not like football where you get to go to the sidelines and take a breather and come back and do it again on the next set of downs. Tavanello's got to forget right away that counter that just happened by Miller and put it out of his mind and find a way to score.
Well, a minute gone here in the third, just a minute left here. Nick Tavanello, as we mentioned, down by 2 points here. Billy Miller out of Perry, Ohio, 24-8 on the season. And looking to try to extend that again. Another kind of just a reach-in half shot there by Tavanello. Not really an attempt there.
That's a real attempt, and he's got a low ankle shot. But again, a spot that Edinboro's been comfortable in. This is where Tavanello, tough at this weight class, has to get his head up and hips underneath, or Miller might actually score. Here, Tavanello trying to lift the head, but again, Miller getting that leg free, spins behind.
Flatten him out again, and that's the big difference, especially when you talk about these big guys. When you get down underneath, when you get flat on the mat from the attack position, you are probably not going to score 99 times out of 100. And now you see Billy Miller really trying to go to work on top. Just about 15 seconds left here with a 5-1 lead. And it looks like he's going to be able to wrap up this duel and end it on a positive note for the Edinboro Fighting Scots.
Yeah, you know what, always good if no matter what team you are, whether you're winning or losing the duel meet, to have the last points on the board. So a moral victory for the Edinboro Scots, good victory for Billy Miller, and good victory for the Buckeyes coming away 26-13.